Greetings and welcome to a fascinating voyage into the life of Elizabeth Montgomery. The actress who made our screens magical in Bewitched as Samantha Stevens, she is most likely best known to you as the nose-twitching witch who won our hearts. But her story is rarely told. We're delving deeply into her untold life today and releasing amazing, uncommon pictures that you've probably never seen before. We have some shocking revelations and a heartwarming moment from her last days that will leave you stunned. So stay tuned until the very end. Let's begin. Let's start by providing some background information on Elizabeth's early years. Elizabeth Montgomery was born in Los Angeles, California on April 15, 1933, and was essentially a member of Hollywood royalty. Her mother, Elizabeth Bryan Allen, was a Broadway performer, and her father, Robert Montgomery, was a well-known actor and director. Elizabeth was bound for the spotlight since she grew up in a showbiz household, but her journey wasn't as straightforward. As you might imagine, did you know that in order to get her first job on her father's television program, Robert Montgomery Presents, she had to try out against a dozen other actresses? That's correct, this celebrity didn't just get lucky. Picture a young Elizabeth, apprehensive but resolute, entering a set to demonstrate that she was more than just her father's daughter. We have a unique old photograph of her looking confident. In a clothing from the 1950s, seeing her at the beginning of her trip is incredible, isn't it? Let's now discuss Elizabeth's most well-known role, Samantha Stevens on Bewitched. This program, which ran from 1964 until 1972, was a cultural phenomenon as well as a hit. Millions of homes were made funnier and more compassionate by Samantha, a witch who tried to lead a regular life with her mortal husband Darren. Here's the catch though. Did you know Elizabeth nearly declined the part? Fortunately, she accepted, and the rest is history. Despite her fear that it would stereotype her as a funny performer, imagine this. Dick York, who portrayed Darren, is seen joking with Elizabeth in a behind-the-scenes picture from the Bewitched production. They had an electric chemistry. But don't miss the narrative. We'll tell you later about that smile. Elizabeth's life had many personal victories and struggles in addition to her notoriety. Her 4 marriages have had their own distinct effects on her. In 1954, she married Fred Kamen, but their union lasted only a year. Why? Because Fred desired a conventional marriage while Elizabeth desired fame. Her second marriage to actor Gig Young was more difficult. According to gossip, it was tumultuous, and Gig's problems were a factor. Then Bewitched director William Asher arrived. They raised 3 children together, got married in 1963, and even collaborated on the show. Elizabeth and William appear to be the ideal power couple in this uncommon picture of them on set. To sustain your interest, though, I'll ask you this. Does their real-life romance resemble Samantha and Darren's? Discover how their marriage took a surprising turn by staying with us. Elizabeth was anxious to prove to the world that she was more than just a comedy star, and she went beyond Bewitched. She played the notorious axe-wielding suspect in TV films such as A Case of Rape, 1974, and The Legend of Lizzie Borden, 1975. Fun fact, Elizabeth eventually found out that Lizzie Borden was her distant cousin. How crazy is that? Her acting range is demonstrated by this gorgeous picture of her as Lizzie, which features a melancholic expression in her eyes. She was nominated for an Emmy for these roles, but she never won, which is a mystery in and of itself. Why, in your opinion, did such a gifted actress never win? Tell us in the comments below, and stay tuned for more surprises. Elizabeth had a big heart and was more than just an actress. During the 1980s, when many celebrities remained silent, she was among the first to fight for AIDS sufferers and support homosexual rights. Off-screen, she demonstrated her compassion by volunteering with organizations such as AIDS Project Los Angeles. She was a celebrity in every way, as evidenced by a rare picture of her at a charity function, grinning broadly with activists. Here's an additional hook, though. Did you know that Elizabeth was quite protective of her private life? She enjoyed painting and gardening as ways to escape the spotlight of Hollywood. Stay tuned because we're going to tell you a story about her private moments that will change the way you perceive her. Let's discuss her final years, which were both tragic and inspirational. Almost 20 years later, in 1993, Elizabeth wed actor Robert Foxworth. We have a lovely picture of them at an event, looking incredibly in love, and they were soulmates. However, catastrophe struck in 1995. At age 62, Elizabeth received a stage 4 colorectal cancer diagnosis. Even her closest friends didn't know about it, and she died a few weeks later on May 18, 1995. In order to prevent her family from witnessing her at her most vulnerable state, she requested that they wait in the living room. She carried that type of grace and courage all the way to the end. We have a unique photograph of her last public appearance, and the bravery in her eyes will never be forgotten. Are you curious about her final wish? It's approaching, so keep an eye out. There are numerous ways that Elizabeth's legacy endures. Following her death, Herbie Hancock performed at a memorial service at the Cannon Theater in Beverly Hills, where friends like Dominic Dunn spoke movingly. Although her family received her ashes, it is still unknown where they will ultimately lie. She received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2008, and Robert Foxworth and her children were present to celebrate. We have a picture from that day that shows her son Billy and daughter Rebecca fighting back tears of pride. How her magic continues to affect us is amazing, isn't it? The last hook, though, is that Elizabeth herself disclosed a secret about Bewitched in a rare interview. Pay attention to what she stated regarding the show's conclusion. You won't believe it. This is the last secret we promised. Elizabeth once suggested that Bewitched might have ended differently in a rare interview. She proposed a conclusion in which Samantha completely accepted her witch abilities and Darren was left to choose whether or not to enter her magical realm. Just think about that twist. Although Samantha was still juggling her two lives at the end of the program, Elizabeth's vision demonstrated her passion for daring storytelling. Do you believe you would have preferred that conclusion? Leave a comment below with your opinions. You are the true MVPs. Thank you for staying to the very end. I'll see you in the upcoming video.